Thank you, Idea Jen, for having us. I'm so excited to share the stories of my good friends, Mariana Bozesan, as well as Björn Ostë. And we are going to talk about what we did yesterday at the Global Green Inclusive Innovation Summit at the United Nations. Mariana, do you want to share what happened yesterday and your work?
Well, for me, it's extremely important to support one of the most neglected group in our society, namely young entrepreneurs, men and women alike, who, in my view, don't get the funding needed in order to make their dreams come true and come up with the right answers to the many global issues that we have because we don't listen to them. So those of us who have participated in the past in creating the global issues that we currently have, from financial crisis, economic crisis, climate crisis, inequality, and so on, raising polarization. These are global issues. It's a meta crisis, and we don't listen to those who actually, are smart and know better often than the older generation. And this is why I am here. To help particularly women who are very good at networking with one another and engaging men and women alike across all industries in addressing the grand global challenges. And because the planet doesn't give us much time, to fix the issues that we have. We have scientifically proven 9 planetary boundaries, which define the operating system of the planet, a safe operating system of the planet. And we have left 5 of those safe operating system areas. And so that's why I'm here. I think we need to aggregate the necessary capital to support those who have the answers, who have to develop the answers. And it's actually a lot of fun to really engage with the young generation, women and men alike, to address those issues. And so I'm very proud and grateful to be here in this amazing circle.
And so I'm so excited that Bjorn, you had just invested, after you took public Oatly, and now you have your new venture, but you just invested in a woman-owned vertical farms with Nona, right?
That's right. Yeah, Vertical Harvest based out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Yeah, so my life has been in the food industry for the last food tech in the last 25 plus years now. And I'm very happy to be in a position today where I can help, to your point, right, some of the Gen Zs and other young or, entrepreneurs in the food industry, female, minority-led. And I think, as I was talking about at the conference yesterday, I think in the food space today, I just don't see an end to the opportunities that are at hand now. And again, to your point, but there's an urgent need for innovation in the food and ag tech space. We have only one planet, and we're doing a good job at ruining it very rapidly. So I think having been fortunate to be part of a journey like Oatly, and now I'm building a new food company where we are trying to address another issue. We don't have only just the planetary, but we have actually, it's also about the health of people and the little food we produce. We seem to do a pretty bad job at doing healthy food. So we're actually literally eating ourselves to death here by eating the wrong kind of food. So there's another area of health, planetary health, human health, and to address, for example, in our case, diabetes and the metabolic issues. And you can do that with smart food that's desirable, tasty, and functional, that works the way you expect food to work. In this context, I was very happy to be able to lead an investment in Nona Diaz's Vertical Harvest. She's an architect that she calls herself a farmer. She's really not. She's a society builder. She's a community builder. She's an educator, and she's absolutely a total role model for female entrepreneurship in the food space. So a lot of work to do. I'm happy I can be a little part of it and contribute a little bit in the corner, but it's you said something, it's fun, right? It really is fun. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege. An opportunity and much needed.
So Mariana, I'm so glad we have this book. Mariana wrote this book, what was it, a year ago or 2 years ago it was published. And we talked about how the transformation is feasible. There's only one path left to a sustainable 2050, where we will have enough resources where 9 billion people can live well within the limits of the planet by 2050. Those provide priority sectors is around women, or not women, but clean energy, sustainable food, inequality, as well as the taxation of changing the development models. Can you share, we were on a panel on how do you scale women in clean energy / infrastructure and buildings, because you talked about the connectivity between buildings and agriculture. So could you share some of that?
I am only supporting agriculture. I'm a computer scientist by education, so I'm only helping to build the infrastructure where data can be used to support agriculture with data coming from space and other sources. So from my perspective, I think we need to think across industries. And so as a computer scientist and somebody who's actually looking at technology to leverage what I call, Ray Kurzweil calls the law of accelerated returns, where we see how technology is making everything cheaper and more affordable, and helps democratizing the society by allowing expensive tools, what used to be not reachable in the past, to a larger population, such as agriculture and farmers across Africa and more deprived parts of the society. So, and from my perspective, creating sustainability starts also with construction. For instance, in my case, my husband actually identified a technology to build data centers using water cooling instead of air. And as we all know, and I learned yesterday that it's actually 40% of the CO2 emission that comes from construction, be it aluminum, metal, steel, and cement. So you can save while building data centers that are actually mushrooming right now, of course, because we need to move to the next era of human civilization, where we use, instead of fossil fuels, we use photons, to create energy. We use cells and molecules to build food instead of raising animals to kill them, to eat them. So I'm sure in future generations, they will look back and think what we've done. So from my perspective, I am using my little contribution from a technology perspective in building the infrastructure, like data centers, sustainable data centers. As we speak, the company that I co-created and invested in is building the largest sustainable data center for Google in Germany, which is a little contribution in, if you build, instead of building a traditional construction like a regular data center that cools with air, that needs a lot of circulation, you're now using water to have a more efficient cooling. You need like up to 50% less construction materials, and also the maintenance is 50% less. And imagine providing the energy from water or solar, then you have a self-sustaining data center, which is actually where we all need to go in order to build the future. So
can you use that water to heat the greenhouse?
That's exactly what, that's the circular economy that we're looking at. Exactly. And so, but the reason why this is so important, what you're doing, Tess, and thank you for inviting us, is we need to raise the awareness. People don't think in these terms. They don't build, putting two and two together and see how they can build a circular way of, absolutely. We look into this, but it took us, I must admit, with NDC data center in Germany, it took us like 4 or 5 years to finally get Google to say, I want this. So it's this mind shift that needs to occur. and which makes me be very grateful to IdeaGen for hosting us, and NASDAQ. Thank you for taking the word out.
I mean, and it's so important that, there has been a big push from the governments to make sure that the populations that have been harmed by COVID get directed the funds. So how do you suggest, as our last comments, is how do you think that women-owned businesses can thrive in these two sectors? One is, within the data, within the technology side, as well as in the agriculture.
I'm actually pretty positive, particularly in the food and food tech, ag tech industry. First of all, most of the scientists that actually represent innovation in this particular tech space are de facto women. If you look at most of the nutritionists that come out of colleges and universities are women. What we lack is women leaders, but we are seeing good examples, right? And given that most of the innovation is coming from women scientists, I think it comes up on people like us, like me, like you, and others to help support these women to actually take the step to be the leaders and runners of the new technology and build their own companies around it, right? And I think we see a lot of that happening. So, I mean, Nona is just one good example, but there are many.
And it's a cultural change.
Yeah.
I grew up in communist Romania, and one thing about communism, which is the commune, it's about us collectively. Nobody told me that as a woman, I'm not supposed to be good in math.
Yeah.
Until at age 16, I went to Germany and people looked at me, well, you're a woman, physics and math, it's just ridiculous. So I think events like this are extremely important to really raise the awareness that, because I'm a woman, I'm not less than. And you can follow your heart.
And I really think that when you say that the scientists and the discoveries and the innovations coming from women, what we lack is how do you monetize that? How can women monetize it? And I think that's a step in the resource that if IdeaGen, everyone who can contribute to supporting women to take that next step or to embrace it, because that's when you're going to get gender equality. I just wanted to close that hour. I think Goldman Sachs says it'll take $56 trillion of investment for the world to achieve a net zero future. Wouldn't it be awesome if for our quality moonshot that 30% of that $56 trillion actually gets directed for women-owned businesses or minority-owned businesses? So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, IdeaGen, for giving us this opportunity.